trust. Approval. With high juice content and all natural ingredients, consumers want to feel they're doing something good for their health by purchasing Bitfoods. Having been around a long time, Bitfoods has the luxury of understanding the deep emotional needs of its consumers and what drives consumers to repurchase our products over competitors. Having said that, one thing we cannot be is complacent. As time goes on, consumers' attitudes change, and with it, our brand has to as well. Questions such as, will Bitfoods Lime Juice Cordial, with all its heritage cues, appeal to the next generation? Will it be seen as just old-fashioned and therefore unappealing? These are the type of questions we as a company need answers for. So how do we as marketers get past the rational and functional needs, which we are already meeting, and understand the deeper emotional needs of our consumers? We ask why. To get to the heart of consumers, marketers need to generate insights. An insight is a conclusive unearthing that illustrates what motivates consumers to buy a brand. This understanding, when used in a marketing strategy, can lead to profitable growth of a brand. The key thing about an insight is that it often does not tell us what or how, it tells us why. Why does the consumer choose brand A over brand B? To get into the heart of the consumer, it's the emotional needs insights we are keen to understand. It is here we need to press hard, dig deep, ask a lot of questions, and rigorously search for connections between information. Once we have this information, we need to question what are the implications of these insights for our product, business, category, and competitor brands. There are many questions which can help identify deep consumer insights. Questions like, what do people fear, desire, are frustrated about in any given category? When a consumer considers a new purchase, what emotive drivers emerge? How are consumers using your products or services in ways perhaps unintended by your company? What are consumers saying about your products to their friends? At Bitfoods, we use a little tool called the why tool. Basically, the word why can be very powerful in the search for the key to the consumer's heart. A simple exercise using the word why can uncover some useful insights. The key to the exercise is to keep asking why. Once is not enough. By asking why of your relevant information at each level, you can dig deeper into the heart of the consumer. It is not enough to know the how, what, and when about a brand. You need to know why. But it requires some persistence. The following is a very simple example of how it works. So we ask this as consumers, why do you like Bitfoods cordial? Because I love it. Why do you love it? Because I grew up with it. Why did you grow up with it? Because my mum always bought it. Why did your mum always buy it? Because she knew we loved it. Why did you love it? Because it tasted good. Why did it taste good? Because on a hot summer's day you could rely on it to refresh and cool you down. And you can keep going. From this quick why exercise, we get an understanding of deep consumer emotions of nostalgia, trust, childhood memories, and a need for reliability. A key to understanding deep consumer needs is thorough, dedicated research. Insights can be generated from a whole variety of sources and don't necessarily have to come from new information. Start by reviewing what you already know and ask what you need to know. Some questions to start with. Who? Who are your consumers? Are they existing? Are there any consumer segments? What level of commitment do consumers have to your brand? Do they love your product? Do they like it but they've forgotten about it? Are they loyal to another brand? Of each consumer type, ask yourself, why do they behave in this way towards your brand? Then we ask what. What do they consume and how? What is the competitors offering? What brands do they consider in their repertoire? What frequency do they purchase? What volume are they buying? Where? Where do they consume? What outlets are they purchasing from? When? When do they consume? What occasions? And finally, why? Why are the products brands chosen? Why do they behave the way they do in the where, when, with whom and what situations? Another area to consider when digging into the heart of the consumer is what trends currently exist. At first glance, certain trends may seem unrelated to your brand. However, at a second look, you may find some connection trends. Trends can be environmental, demographic, social, health-related, lifestyle or technical. In addition to these, you may also want to consider industry-specific trends. Identify a number of environmental industry-specific trends and use them to cross-trend analysis. You also need to be aware of regulatory trends that can impact your business. Before the cross-trend analysis, Ask as many questions as possible regarding the trends themselves. What's new? What's different? What need does this change satisfy? What are consumers replacing or trying to add? How does this affect the user's self-image? How will this change the user education? How would a big brands like Virgin, Volkswagen, Apple or any other marketer approach this? These questions will help you generate theories on how the trend could impact your consumer segment and lead to possible actions and insights. Other sources of information, often obtained at very little cost, can include box pop, so asking questions out on the street so consumers can tell you what they'd like, and by video, you can also use this as a sales presentation tool. By conducting surveys, so using existing databases, online reports, or send out your own survey to your database. Formal research, so using research companies that are not too close to your business and that conduct focus group online questionnaires or in-home cameras. Desktop research, so using existing reports and subscribe to relevant trade publications. Travel. For Bickfords, this is very important as how consumers perceive the brand in South Australia is very different to its perception in other states, where it only has been in the market for 15 years. Your sales force. Get out on the road, get into the coalface and talk to your customers with them. Employees. They can be brand advocates and often are spruiking your brands amongst their friends and family on the weekend. They often can provide insights to why consumers buy certain products. Your suppliers can be useful sources of information as they often conduct their own research and have relevant studies or reports available. Media and creative agencies. If you use a media company to book media, many good media companies conduct their own research on consumers and can make available relevant information. Customer feedback systems. It's imperative that your company develops a culture of valuing customer feedback. Customer feedback can often be negative and sometimes employees can be dismissive when dealing with complaints. Instead, relevant departments in your organisation should be encouraged to be the marketing department's eyes and ears. Areas like customer service are talking to customers every day. They have invaluable sources of information if they know how to ask the right questions. Often it's a one-liner sentence and about a good or bad experience of your brand, and key insights can be developed from this. Get out there and talk to your consumers. Attend trade shows, exhibitions, sampling sessions, visit branches or stores, and relevant events to gain feedback. Use social media as a research tool. Sites like Twitter, Facebook, blogs, forums and Google are a free source of information. Consumers are talking about your brand in these places. An example of a key insight Bickfords uncovered was when we saw a consumer writing about our milkshake mix on a blog. This consumer was not using it for its intended purpose to make milkshakes, but in fact was using it to flavour cakes. We have now fed this into our strategy and see the need for versatility for our products. Look outside your category. What are consumers doing in adjacent categories? How are other brands building loyalty? What trends in other areas are being developed? For example, Bickfords might analyse why shows like MasterChef and cooking shows have suddenly become so popular. Cross-analyse that with the rising popularity of farmers markets. We find there is a considerable consumer movement away from highly processed foods to a shift towards wholesome, natural and unprocessed ingredients. These kind of consumer insights shape future new product development and marketing strategy for our brands. Mindset. And I've got a quote there from Albert Einstein. The significant problems we have cannot be solved at the same level of thinking which we created them. So this is all about the mindset that you use when digging into the consumer's heart. Going on a deep dig exploration of your brand to get into the heart of consumers requires certain behaviours and a particular mindset. For a successful deep dig, there is a few things to keep in mind. Firstly, keep an open mind. Leave your preconceived ideas at the door. This is particularly hard for business owners or people who have worked in the business for a number of years. Also be prepared for criticism and look at it as an opportunity for change and growth. Be curious, not about just consumers at your lover's end, but also about the ones that hate it. Passion, be passionate about your consumers. Consumers are fickle and can love you one day but hate you the next. Persistence, do not be deterred by unanswered questions. Be persistent in your questioning, as often more good questions are uncovered than good answers. Good insights come from good questions. Commitment. Commit relevant resources, take a long-term view and have patience. Creativity. Getting into the heart of consumers requires creativity. You need to think differently than you have before. Objectivity. Look at your brand through different eyes, in a way you never have. And advocacy. It's up to you to change the internal perceptions of your company and influence leaders. Use the words research and insight in your everyday communications with management. It will make your job easier when faced with an idea from management which you don't necessarily believe. To say, well, consumers feel this way about X, gives you a stronger argument. Whether it's politics or business, it's hard to argue when the magical R word is used. Getting to the heart of consumers and understanding key insights can have implications for marketing and product strategy. Deep digging on your brands uncovers new information and at the very core, a deeper understanding of what motivates consumers emotionally. Be aware, strategies based on meeting consumers' rational and emotional needs isn't right for every brand or product. Some products are simply commodities bought on price with very little emotional processing. Getting into the heart of consumers enables connection with consumers. When brands speak to consumers, consumers are given permission to behave differently and engage. It also enables a clear and consistent communication strategy, which ensures the consumer experiences your brand consistently at each touch point, whether it be in advertising, customer service, packaging, website, product and promotions. And importantly, by understanding your consumers' emotional needs, it gives you an opportunity to build brand loyalty by creating long-term customers who stick with you through the good and bad, and will pardon a few mistakes should your company make any. It also creates brand advocates who do a marketer's job through word of mouth. Emotional need fulfillment is more powerful than rational need fulfillment. It requires a deeper understanding of your consumers. The challenge here is getting consumers to define emotional brand benefits, which is often their subconscious thinking that they are not aware of until probed. Only when a brand communicates to consumers on an emotional level can brand loyalty be achieved. Companies must push their brands beyond having products that merely satisfy a rational need. Failure to do so will see consumers opting for lower priced generic offerings. We have seen it overseas in the supermarkets, where generic brands have replaced brands as preferred options. Companies which realise brands have the potential to connect with consumers on an emotional level are able to build brand loyalty and sustain growth. Companies which merely describe a service or product and offer a price are missing the opportunity to engage and build brand loyalty. By getting into the heart of consumers, the opportunity to build brand loyalty